Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. All right, let's try this again. Hopefully, from the top, for the last time. to quote Into the Spider-Verse. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And
previously on.
Okay.
Yes, you can. I screwed that up. Hey, guess what, folks? It's our man in Brooklyn, 1agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram with sound effects.
What's up, everybody?
Wait, is that from Hello Nasty?
B-Bay Bouillabaisse.
Okay. B-Boy Bouillabaisse. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I couldn't remember where that one was from. Either way, you could find this here podcast on the Coastal of the Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You could also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network SoundCloud page. You can find us recording every Thursday night, 9:30-ish Eastern Standard Time in the PM on the Kliq Nation's YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/thekliqnation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. So yes, folks, we are going to get into it, hopefully without any further gremlins, and start off with a recap of the finale of Miss Marvel, episode 6.
All right, so I am going to ring the spoiler bell because we're probably going to be discussing some spoilers here, even though this episode has only been out for a day. 2 days really. So ultimately, if you are behind, you have not caught up on Ms. Marvel and have not finished the finale of this season, no word yet if this is going to be an ongoing series when after the Marvels comes out. So here we go. Spoilers incoming in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I guess that is the curious thing, whether they're going to do a season 2 of this or not, because they definitely have some stuff they could come back
explore.
to.
Yeah, they can definitely explore a lot of the stuff that's here. I mean, we're probably going to explore some of it when we see the Marvels.
Right.
And, spoiler alert, there is a post-credit scene that does hint very heavily at that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also seeing an article on Marvel.com that is probably furthering those teas, but we'll get into that in a second. So the name of this episode is called New Normal, which I believe, if not mistaken, was the title of the first arc or one of the first arcs of her book. I can't remember if it was the very first arc. Yeah, I can't remember if it was the very first or when it was relaunched. But I believe it was one of them regardless, but I do remember that was the name of the arc. So if you look for the trade, that is definitely it. And I am going to actually spoil this because this is nothing new in the Marvel universe. Sadly, is that once again there is very little thing as a secret identity. Because
yeah. So how about this? How about we just do a super duper quick recap and then we'll get into our thoughts?
No. That's what I'm doing. But I just wanted to bring that one out.
Right. No, because we're going to get through it. So I think what we'll do is maybe trade off as we just go through this recap as quickly as possible so we can get into our thoughts. Okay. So the episode starts right where we left off at the 5th episode with the Circle Q being a gigantic mess as the result of an attack by the former Stark drones that are now being run by Damage Control. So Agent Diva, the high hair lady, who is the agent on the ground for Damage Control, basically is on the warpath here. Ultimately, Bruno and Kamran are able to escape the Circle Q in one piece, and they head to the subway, aka the New Jersey Path Train. And I've never seen a Path Train that with that much graffiti on it. The Path Trains are really super clean in New Jersey, so I thought that was a little inauthentic. But in any event, moving on, Bruno and Kamran basically, have a little bit of a bonding moment here as they're trying to get away, and Damage Control is right on top of them, and Kamran basically uses his hard light powers, very similar to what Kamala is wielding at this point, and they're able to get away from Damage Control. Meanwhile, Kamala is back in Jersey City together with her mom, and she has, in the midst of something that is very familiar to all immigrant families, basically opening up the gift packages that have come back from the trip to the motherland. In the middle of that, Kamala has a big announcement to make. She basically announces to the family, big spoilers here, that she's Nightlight, that awful name that was bestowed upon her. And everyone acts like they're surprised, but they're not, because the secret's been out for a little while. Because, loose lips definitely sink ships in this family.
Damn.
So, bottom line here is that surprisingly, Kamala's parents are very supportive of her decision, even though they warn her and they're fearful for her. They support her decision to do something, which is very inauthentic to me, because what immigrant parents are like that?
Well, not only that, but it's also full circle from the first episode where Muniba, Kamala's mom's like, we don't trust her, but she was the one and this was like, well, we do trust her. Just calm down.
Right. So it was just very, very strange. And at this point, Kamala is interrupted by a call from Nakia informing Kamala that some stuff has gone down at the Circle Q, and Nakia is trying to reach Bruno. And
are you saying strange things are afoot at the Circle Q?
Yes, things are definitely afoot at the Circle Q. Kamala can't get Bruno on the phone. And what we have here is a nice little reveal that it's something that we suspected because of the changes in Kamala Khan's origin story. But in fact, Muniba, the mother, does have a gigantic hand in creating the super suit for Kamala Khan.
Right. She completed the quest.
I'm sorry?
She completed the quest. Because all this whole time she's been getting pieces of the outfit. Now she got the last piece from her mom.
Right. So ultimately, we flash back to Bruno and Kamran, and Bruno has the incredibly bright idea, and I say that fully sarcastically, to take Kamran to the local mosque that the family worships at. And Nakia is not happy to find them there, because obviously Damage Control is going to go there first, and they're under, as a mosque in the New York metropolitan area, they are under surveillance anyway. Mm-hmm. So they basically look to escape the mosque and get to their local high school, because it's the only place guaranteed to be empty on a Saturday. So Damage Control, of course, comes in at this point and tries to search the mosque. Nakia does her best to create a diversion, and ultimately the diversion lasts long enough for Bruno and Kamran to get out of the building and make their way and head over to the school. In the meantime, Kamala actually intercepts them, and the three of them make their way to the high school. And I'm going to hand it off to Roddykat at this point.
And with this, we get a full reveal of the suits in that and another thing that's really sad, but not sad. I shouldn't say that, but yeah, when she meets up with Brian and Kamran, yes, I purposely said that. There's, like I said, a full suit reveal, but right shortly after that, she takes off the mask in an alley on a street. Now, granted, the street, obviously for cinematic purposes, it wasn't busy, but like somebody could just walk by and see you, and what is that about? Anyhow,
there's cameras everywhere.
Exactly, and that was the other thing, which I bring that up later on. But anyway, so they all go to the school. Apparently Zoe's already there because the light's good, and apparently she already knows that Kamala was Nightlight. Which in the comics she knew also, or she ended up knowing, just like the rest of the Scoobies anyway. So it was but the fact that she was just like, oh no, I'm already here and I already knew, was like no big deal. So anyway, they all end up in hatching a plan along with her brother Amir, who happens to come along to basically do a Home Alone in the school to distract so that Kamran can get away because Kamala had called Red Dagger Kareem for some help, which I was sitting here like, what in the world was he going to be able to do from there? But he was like, he knew a guy. So anyway, they enhance this plan, and the plan goes down, sorta, except for the fact that near the end, and during the midst of this, Cameron finds out about his mother, which almost makes him, I don't want to say break bad, but he kind of takes a slight turn, but it doesn't go all the way there, thanks to Kamala intervening later on. But of course, the damage control after them surrounding the building, and part of this plan was that Zoe was going to get on her social medias and put the word out to everybody so that everybody could come to the school, which does end up happening. Everybody, including her parents,
right.
And the she.
Hold that thought. Zoe, who just happens to be in the school because she's in the auditorium doing her TikToks. Right, seriously, does everyone just break into this public high school?
Apparently, according to Amir, yes, because like, how'd you get in? Bathroom.
That's crazy.
I used to go here too.
Moving on. Go. Carry on.
So I thought that was kind of funny too. I was like, yeah, I guess that's the case. So yeah. Anyway, like I said, they enact this plan. Damage control breaks in. Although Deaver gets word to back off, but she doesn't go ahead with it. From what was that other agent's name? Clary or something? I can't remember. Either way, the other agent tells
it's Stewie from Succession, but yeah, I get it.
I know I've heard that, but I'd never seen Succession, so I heard that joke. But either way, whatever his name is, told her to back off, but she doesn't do that, so she disobeyed the direct order and invaded the school. Like I said, they do the Home Alone thing and distract for a time, which kind of works while everybody's gathering outside. And then, like I said, Kamran kind of finds out about his mom, and the fight ends up spilling out outside, where and I know I was wondering why at the beginning of this episode they were like, hey, there are some scenes that might be some people might think a little bit of a problem or might not be okay with. Obviously with school shootings being the thing, and this force invading the school, going after, there's a couple of things that could be that's kind of a problem. But this show was kind of recorded or done like a couple of years ago, or not a couple of years ago, a while ago, before the craziness that is now, even though there's been you're muted.
At least half a year ago,
right?
Yeah. Just so that they could get the effects in. But yeah, I want to say at least 6 months ago, this was already done filming.
Right. So, certain things at this point couldn't be helped because the things were already in the can. Either way, like I said, the things that I'm filling outside, Kamran, decides to fight back. Kamala fights him. Well, kind of defends the crowd or whatnot. We hear her say the thing, which I was happy to see, and we also kind of get shades of her former power, or the use of her her comic book accurate powers in a way with her new, I guess, her MCU based powers now. So that was kind of good to see, even though it was still kind of a bummer we don't get the original comic book powers. But we will talk about that in a second. But anyway, that whole thing blows over. Kamran gets away. She gets away thanks to the help of the crowd. Diva gets called back and was like, look, you're relieved of duty. So all of that's all the wells ends well. And then we get a shot of Miss Marvel, number 14, because when she's sitting on the light post or whatever it was. And then we cut to 1 week later where And this is the part right here that made people go absolutely nuts. So a week later, Bruno is about to go off to Caltech. I guess he slipped some note into her locker for some strange reason before that week. So I don't know what that was. We don't know what that was. That's something else I guess they could come back to. But
yeah, that's a dangling plot line.
Yeah, but we probably comic people would probably know what it possibly is. Assuming it is him saying his feelings for Kamala, which you can kind of get from here. Either way, they're out on the street late at night. Kamala kind of uses her powers on the street. I mean, granted, it's an empty street, and they meet up with he and Nakia, and they're going to get Swarma, apparently, because that's the thing to do. But before that, Bruno tells her that he found out some stuff about her genetic makeup, and that exactly, and that it's something different, something a little off from her family. He even uses the word mutinous.
No, he says mutation.
I know.
He says the word mutation.
I know, but
and to my great disappointment. So at this point, just let me jump in here just so we can finish this up. At this point, Kamala. Actually, no. Just prior to this, we get the genesis of the Ms. Marvel name, because in the MCU, there's no legacy hero named Ms. Marvel the way there was in the comics, right? So they needed to come up with a contrived way of coming up with the Listen, contrivance and contrived is a big word for me right now because of the way they've taken this. Because of the direction that they've taken Ms. Marvel.
Right.
And a lot of this is just contrived because it's generally based on and adapted from the source material comic books, but it's just pulled almost out of left field sometimes. And here we have, a rough translation of Kamala and Kamal, shout out to Q-Tip, the abstract about what her name actually means and what it can be translated into. And through all this, they come up with they have Kamala's dad sitting on their roof, their lower roof, give Kamala her superhero name,
which I guess he was the one to give the last piece of the puzzle.
Right, and I just groaned. I was like,
I kind of did too. Like, it was a touching moment, all in all, but at the same time, I was like, really, this is how that part happened? I'm like, all right, whatever.
Right. So bottom line is, we've gotten to the end of the episode. They all basically abscond with Cameron's car.
Yes.
Basically Bruno's going to drive it to San Francisco. Or to wherever Caltech is.
Right.
I think Caltech is around San Francisco.
Sure.
And ultimately, we get to the post-credit scene. And obviously, if you've been with us this far, you have been spoiled. But we are warning you now. There are big spoilers here too. So Kamala collapses on. What's that?
Basically, I was kind of right. But go ahead.
We were all sort of right, but I did not expect this twist. Right. So this is what I mean by everything being sort of contrived. Right. So Kamala basically collapses on her bed, much like I did today after a long day out in the humidity getting home. And, especially, getting home post shower, I'm like, you know what? I'm taking a nap. So she collapses on her bed. And Muniba, her mother, is calling from downstairs. And all of a sudden, the bangle on Kamala's wrist is glowing. The next thing you know, right? She doesn't touch it. The next thing you know, she turns into a swoop, like a swirly thing, and is basically transported through the swirly thing through the door of her closet. The door of her closet gets destroyed, and next thing you know, she gets sucked away. The next thing you know, when the dust settles, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, stands up and takes one look around Kamala's room and all the pictures, posters, and images of her plastered on the walls and says, "Oh no," and beats a quick retreat out of there. And that is where this episode ends. Now we're going to get into what I think is going to be some fair criticism of the series and specifically of this episode. Take it away.
So wait, before we get into that, I want to go backwards and address that for a second, because for like 2 seconds I thought, wait, did she change into Carol like in the beginning of the book? But then I was like, no, because that doesn't make sense, because she would have reacted a little bit differently. So that's what I was like, okay, it was still weird the way that happened. I was like, why did the door have to get destroyed and that's this and the other? Whatever. Also, I wanted to mention before I forget, there was a moment in between this and that last part with Bruno, if I'm not mistaken, where there was a bunch of TikTok messages, including from Cute Auntie, about what happened at the school, including one cameo appearance by G. Willow Wilson, which I enjoyed seeing.
Oh, I missed that. I'm gonna have to go back and check that out.
Oh yeah,
I thought I saw Sana Amanat in there too, but I'm gonna have to look closer.
That she kind of looked like her, but I don't think that was her. Sana Amanat did show up in episode 3. That's why I'm not sure.
No, at the wedding scene, right?
Right. So maybe I don't know. It didn't seem. She looked like that girl seemed like she was a little bit younger than Sana, but I could be totally wrong, and it was just whatever. But yeah, it was G. Willow Wilson showed up as a cameo finally, and I was like, okay, that was awesome. Now then, matter of fact, since you seem to want you have some gripes, go ahead and take that away. I mean, I have a couple of complaints, but whatever.
Well, I mean, I definitely have some gripes. So, I thought as a whole, right, before we speak specifically about this episode, I thought as a whole this series was a little uneven, and I felt like we spent a little too much time with the cultural history, but at the same time I felt like it was important. But I think that those 2 episodes really threw the episodes, the balance of the story kind of off kilter. Like there was just no kind of coming back from that. I appreciated it, but it all made it so that this episode felt like it was super rushed and everything was crammed in. That was my biggest complaint, just as an overall story, because I felt like the first few episodes were so strong in Jersey City, and then when we get to Pakistan, or AKA Thailand, as a stand-in for Pakistan, I felt like we spent so much time there and with not enough character development of the clandestine. Like they were just flimsy antagonists. The antagonists here in the series were so weak, quoting Uncle Roger, so weak. Let me see if I can't find an Uncle Roger quote in here somewhere. So weak. Oh man, I think I know where it is. Sorry, folks.
Hiya.
Thank you. I need to find. I need to get a quote of him saying "so weak." But in any event, together, Damage Control and the Clandestine were just so weak as antagonists. It wasn't convincing. They didn't prove to be devious or malcontents or anything of the sort. It was just pretty lame.
And so police state stuff kind of.
Right. No, I mean, I get that, but it was lame. That's my opinion.
No,
right?
I'm agreeing with you.
Right. And ultimately, I didn't think that the story was well served by the antagonist that Kamala was presented with here. I thought that the way they came up with the Ms. Marvel identity for her, you heard me complain about it before, was so contrived. I groaned. I was like, oh, that hurts me to my core. But as I said earlier, we don't have a legacy hero identity for her to take up. We don't. This is the MCU. It's not the Marvel comic book universe. And so I have to rein in my comic book fandom to always remind myself that these are adaptations, and that the bottom line here is that they're looking to make this story as accessible and as broad-based and easy to grasp. That goes along with accessible. for people who are new to the character, for people who are strictly MCU heads, people who are strictly in the movies and maybe hopping around the Disney Plus shows. So I had a really uneven watch here. This is very similar to my feelings with Moon Knight, where, I kind of understood where they were going, but I just thought it was like super, super uneven. And, those are my feelings on this show. I hope that we get more development for Kamala Khan in the Marvels movie, and I hope that they come back with a season 2 of Ms. Marvel so that they are able to more closely explore her Jersey City roots. Take it away, Roddykat.
So as far as the name thing is concerned, I'm slightly in agreement with you, but I'm thinking, yeah, they could have, like, while there is and there isn't a legacy character. Like, yes, there is not in the setup in the MCU, but at the same time, she spent half of the time with Carol Danvers, who's already Captain Marvel, as a role model. She's a fangirl of them, and they didn't even have to go as far as what they did with the ginning of the name to her name. For that, when all they could have said was because they already set it up. Because even I think Moniba said it when she gave her the suit, it was like, now there's this. Well, I don't know if she actually said that, but basically now this is your version of this. Your spin on this character, like she was trying to do for the Avengers Con stuff. She was basically trying to put her mark on her costume, and that could have translated into this. And again, Carol Danvers is already there, and there was a Captain Marvel, so they didn't really have to go as far as that. So I'm slightly in agreement with it. That's like they kind of overthought that. Maybe, I don't know. As far as the whole watch, I don't know. I guess I'm slightly opposite of you with the Moon Knight in a way, in that I see what you're saying about how it distracted by them going off to this other place to kind of do some stuff, as opposed to staying where they were and being able to kind of do some stuff. And like you, I did like the fact that it was, the cultural stuff was good, I thought. And it is kind of a bummer that the fact that, this, one, it's not necessarily how it goes in the comics, but again, you have to kind of put that to the side, like you said, because it's an adaptation. And I feel like these days and times, something like that is good to have, despite what we may feel as comic fans, because one way or another, there is not too many comic book characters like that, much less being seen on the big or small screen. So to be able to add cultural touches like that, is a good thing overall for folks. Overall, though, I liked it. I feel like would I watch this again? Yeah, probably at some point, maybe closer to when Marvels comes out next year, whether it has anything to do with it, anything big to do with it or not. I think the biggest thing that came out of this show was in the last couple of minutes when Bruno dropped that almost massive hint as to her genetics, which that part right there is kind of a bummer, because I didn't think they would do something like that in a show. Like, most of the stuff that's kind of happened in the MCU has been in the movies, and then the shows are kind of like, well, here's some stuff that kind of bled out from that. This is no different, but at the same time, that one massive thing opens up a whole lot of speculation and a whole lot of things that we thought we would have probably gotten in Doctor Strange.
Right. Exactly. And if you thought it was "I'm Your Baby Tonight" by Whitney Houston, rest in peace, then you're on the right track. Just, a slightly different origin for that for that tune. Right. Exactly. So bottom line is, it's okay that, that we differ. I just had a super uneven view of this show in total, right. Despite the fact, and I love the representation, the representation, I'm here for it. I stand it. Mm-hmm. and I'm happy for it. But we shouldn't, we should be very specific in our criticism. And I felt like, the attention they gave to partition and the history and the contrived origin of the powers and the bangle, and we still don't know what her powers are, and we still don't know where they're coming from. We still don't know why she has them. We just have clues and hints, and obviously they do that so that we're left wanting more, but it just left me empty and frustrated and annoyed watching this whole season of 6 episodes.
Right. Now, that being said, actually, I have seen, like I said, you're not wrong in your criticism, because I would never say that one way or the other, but I've also seen someone who is also of a similar descent, let's say, have levied those same criticisms about the unevenness of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're there for the representation, but yeah, it was kind of an uneven watch for them as well. That being said, like I said, the biggest thing to come out of it was the potential revelation, and I'm kind of worried about the fact of how much they're going to do in the Marvels, because I feel like that's putting a lot on. It's putting a good bit on it. Two, there was something else I was actually going to mention.
You mean in terms of story, what they have to develop?
Right.
Absolutely, I agree.
So, and I know it's something that has tended to fall to the movies to do something. Sometimes it's not done well, because like you said, we still don't know a whole lot about our powers. We got glimpses of it, we got clues and whatnot, but even with that last potential reveal, like, there is still so much unanswered and nothing concrete, and that's leaving a lot for wherever that lands,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've seen speculation on, going back to the whole Ten Rings thing, going back to Shang-Chi, and all kinds of places that it's to go. We don't really know none of that, and we know the Marvels is coming up, and it's got to have something on it clearly, but we don't know what in that, and what that means going forward in that. But it's just like a lot of heavy lifting for matter of fact, hell, we thought the same thing about Doctor Strange, and that didn't even do that. It
didn't even come close to doing what we thought it would do.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's a lot to kind of put on this show, which it could have. I don't know. It could have showed the show better by not dropping that there. Although I'm not going to sit here and lie to the fact that I didn't enjoy it, especially that last part. But it kind of lessens the impact of the rest of the show in a way. Like,
yeah. I'll say that I did not enjoy that. I was like, oh, I let out an audible groan. I was like, this is a whack way to start my morning. So, but it's okay, for us to have differing opinions on this. So, we're okay with the show. Obviously, we have our highlights, in this show, and definitely some lowlights for me. So, we can move on, and it looks like we're on a break from Marvel TV for a while. I think the next thing out is She-Hulk, right?
Until next month, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we got a little bit of a break.
Actually, I was going to mention this. I don't know if you noticed this when you watched, spoiler alert it's not necessarily a spoiler alert for Thor. I don't know if you watched the Marvel Studios logo. Kamala is actually in there.
Really? Okay, good.
Yeah, I happened to see that, but she's not in the show because obviously I think they did this show before they put that in there. But yeah, I saw it was like, oh, okay, they put Kamala in the thing, but if you watch the show, she's not there yet because the show was before Thor. So anyway, yes, we're going to move on from that.
We're exactly a little bit more than a month away from She-Hulk, August 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I actually kind of can't wait for that. We got some news in the news section about that particular show, and actually, there's going to be one or two things I'm going to drop in the clickbait section about Ms. Marvel. Hopefully, you will have seen it before you read that stuff, though. But we're going to move on to wait. Wasn't there something you wanted to do real quick, like Umbrella Academy or something like that? I can't remember. You mentioned something last week that you wanted. Okay, well, fine. We're going to go.
The Boys. The season finale? I thought we talked about that.
No, we didn't. Because you said you forgot to talk about it, and you were.
Oh, the season finale of The Boys. Yeah,
Right.
so that was crazy. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. It was pretty crazy. I definitely would ask Roddykat to catch up on it. It shouldn't take too long to catch up on The Boys. You know, there's some changes in the status quo at the you know, with this particular season's finale. So I would say that you know, The Boys is a pretty well written show, and that is its strongest asset. The actors are so. You know, I'm definitely a big fan of Kimiko, you know, Karen Fukuhara. But I think that you know, the best performance, I think, is Laz Alonso, the guy that plays Mother's Milk. So
I'm hearing that, actually.
So bottom line is, you know, I would ask Roddykat to you know, turn around and maybe give The Boys a shot on Amazon Prime. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. In that case, let's get into the books of the week. Starting off with Fantastic Four number 45.
All right, Fantastic Four number 45 is written by Dan Slott, with art by Fareed Karami, colors by Jesus Aburtov, and letters by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So we are at the we're in the aftermath. We actually start in the aftermath of the Reckoning War, and we do a super quick flashback to the actual end of the Reckoning War in the midst of this issue. But the opening framing sequence is the aftermath, the return of Benjamin Jacob Grimm to his family, you know, Alicia and the two kids that they rescued from the gambling den. I forget, you know, we read a lot of comics. I forget exactly what they call them. But bottom line is, you know, we find out how the Reckoning War ended. We find out that the champions of Earth and the galaxy were able to, you know, make things happen. You know, rescue the Watchers off of their doomed planet. Reed was able to survive being ultimately nullified somehow.
I was like, okay, well done. I wouldn't have thought about that. I thought that was kind of, it made sense, but at the same time, it was like, okay, way to comic book this up.
Right. I'm glad that the Surfer was able to fix one of the things that, like, I bumped on last issue. I thought that I thought it was good.
Yeah.
That this is a little bit of MCUing of the comic book universe, where, and spoiler alert here, folks, in 3, 2, 1, where even though in the MCU we have seen multiple Watchers, it seems like we're only ever going to focus on one. And right now, it seems like the Marvel comic book universe is now only going to focus on one Uatu the Watcher, you know, having basically deprived all the other Watchers of their powers.
To be fair, for a long time, we only knew and followed this one. So sure, it made somewhat sense to me. But at the same time, yeah, I agree with you.
One of the byproducts of the ending of the Reckoning War is that something akin to the Source Wall has been knocked down. And you know, this is very, very similar in scope to that DC story where the extent of the universe, the known universe, has, you know, multiplied 1,000-fold, 100 million-fold maybe. And so there are going to be more planets out there to explore. There's going to be more galaxies to explore, and that's where they send Galactus and the Silver Surfer.
Right.
And bottom line here is that Dan Slott's run on the Fantastic Four is quickly coming to a close. It was recently announced, and it was news to us, and it was news to me, and surprising to me, that Slott's run was actually going to end with 46, the next issue. This is 45. So it seems very apt. It seems very appropriate that Slott is putting most of the toys, not all of the toys, but most of the toys back in the toy box for the next creative team to pick up. There's still some more toys, I believe, to put back into the toy box in the following issue, in the next issue, his last issue on this run. But overall, I felt like this Reckoning War story was pretty strong until it kind of felt forced and rushed at the end.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I thought that exact same thing. I'm like, don't get me wrong, Slott has done long runs that felt like, in a way, has gone a little too long at times. So I'm glad he hasn't done that, and we just got off of a Spidey run by a different creator that was way longer than it probably should have been. So I'm kind of glad that this was, not glad that it's over, but kind of glad that they kind of restrained going into this a little bit. But especially when the fact that we got AXE and the gala and other stuff going around. I mean, going on right now, actually, which we'll get into in a minute. But yeah, I also felt it was kind of rushed. I also was like, well, the toys that didn't get put back in the box yet, I guess that kind of makes some sense. I feel like I saw one of them at least coming, put it that way. Because as a result of putting one toy back in the box, another one kind of got left to the wayside, and I knew that was going to happen. And I was like, well, okay, so that was the only other way that could happen. Outside of that, I don't know why I hit up on this, but there was one thing that happened. I'm not going to spoil it, but there was something that happened with a character because of the Forever Gate, which has been a thing in this book for a while, that they did with it. And I'm saying, well, not with the gate specifically, but as a result of them being on one side of it. And now I'm sitting here like, wait, so you mean to tell me you did all that just for that? Although there could be more to it than what. There could be a tease or something to a character going back to their former glory, so to speak. But at the same time, it's like, wait, so you did all that just for that? I'm like, why?
Doom needs no reasons.
No, not Doom, not Doom. Not that.
Oh no,
no, I'm thinking about one of the kids. What they did when they were before they came through the gate. But Doom, the Doom thing, it was like, okay, yeah, that's opening up something. I would expect that to be no other way than to Doom be Doom, put it that way. So at that part, I wasn't surprised about it. But no, there was this other character that did what they did. It was like, okay, sure, that's what you wanted to get out of this, as opposed to. But then again, like I said, we don't know. There could be more going on to that than we know.
Right, so spoiler alert then. Here we go. I guess we're going to find out if Franklin made himself a mutant again.
Right.
Gotcha.
So, because even what he was saying, it was like, before he went through, it was like, yeah, you accept me as I go do this, but then the only thing we actually saw was him changing the hair color to black permanently. But, like I said, there seems to be something that suggests that he possibly could have made himself a mutant again, but we don't know that right now. So that part was like, okay, well, I guess we'll see. We'll see if that's actually the case. But like I said, the hair color thing was like, if that was the only thing you did, and you didn't bring back your powers, that's kind of a bummer. At any rate, this was a strong book, like Agent 70 said, and sad to see the toys get put back into the box, but at the same time, at some point, it had to happen.
Right.
And we don't know.
It just felt the touch rushed, and that's really the biggest complaint.
And I'm very curious about, one, if some of that stuff is actually going to get brought back by whoever the next creative team is going to be, which we don't know at this point. But I guess we're going to find out fairly soon, because so we only got one more issue left with Slott.
Right. Okay, so we only have a few issues this week.
I just thought about something. Solicits came out that should have said something by now, right?
I didn't look at them.
Yeah, I guess neither. So yeah, because I feel like we would have seen an article about the next creative team, but maybe we didn't. Either way, we'll go on to the next one.
Right. I was gonna say we have a few books in common this week, but what Roddykat and I were talking about just before we started recording, is that unbeknownst to me, there's an actual reading order here when it comes to the X-related books this week. And so I would suggest we try to follow that, but go quickly, because I think that we can start with a broad overview of the X books, and then we'll do rapid fire.
Actually, I was going to go the other way with that, but sure, we can. So
Wait, do you want to do Moon Knight?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
All right, let's do Moon Knight. Let's do Moon Knight, because then it's a little less complicated.
Right.
Go ahead. Oh, I'll get the creative team in here. It's written by Moon Knight number 13 is written by Jed MacKay, with art by Federico Sabatini, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. Take it away, Roddykat.
So I enjoyed this issue for one reason and one reason only, to read the reverence and that Taskmaster has for Moon Knight, apparently, because he ain't trying to mess with him, which rightly so, you know, because that was kind of part of the issue. Taskmaster gets hired by. Have we seen this tutor person before, or is I'm blanking on who? Because I'm sitting here like I don't remember if we touched on this person before.
I don't think so. It may have been a character that was in the shadows, but I
Right.
don't think this character has appeared before. I think I felt like this was the first time we've run into this character, but obviously this is one of the characters that's been in the shadows with the reemergence of vampires and vampirism
Right.
in the pages of this book over the last year.
Right. Okay. So I'm not alone in that. Okay. Good. Because I was
Right.
like, wait, did I miss something here? So yeah. So we get, I guess, introduced to this person who tries to send Taskmaster after somebody after Moon Knight, but you know, Taskmaster was like, nah. And as Agent 70 said, yeah, vampires are back into play, which apparently Mark is was interrogating some to find the person who's trying who's hunting them down, which is this tutor person. So that was pretty much the crux of this book, and leading to the end of this issue where we meet two people. I guess I am going to assume these are new characters, 'cause I don't think I've ever seen them before.
I think so too.
Yeah. So who's probably going to go up against? I guess they even kind of telegraphed it. Now that I think about it, was something said in conversation about bringing in new people. So I guess I probably should have seen that coming. But yeah, at the end of this issue, we find out that there's going to be two folks going after Mark on the behest of this tutor person, and I guess we'll find out about them next issue.
Right. One of them looks like Sabretooth.
Yeah.
But, other than that, I was kind of like, I don't know if I didn't bother to Google whether or not this character is new or not. So
I think they're both. I didn't either, and but I feel like I suspect they're both new. So I'm like, yeah, we'll find out more about them next year.
Right. So part of me, and this is me taking shots at the Black Widow movie for doing what they did with the Taskmaster concept. You know, and I bring this up. I brought this up when we watched the movie and we talked about the movie, because the Tony Masters character has had some really great writing associated with him, from his little miniseries to this issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say Jed MacKay is behind all of it.
You actually might be right.
I want to say Jed MacKay has had a ton of fun writing the comic book version of Taskmaster. And bottom line here is that this is the character that should be getting some screen time, and hopefully based on how the Black Widow movie ended, maybe there's room for this version of the Taskmaster character to emerge. That's just, that's my 2 cents, folks.
Guess what? You are right. He was the one who wrote that mini. Yep. So yeah, we like Jed MacKay, right? You know, from what he did with Black Cat to Taskmaster. To what he's doing with Moon Knight. You know, his writing has been pretty good for certain characters. Like, make you feel for characters you didn't think you were cared about. You would care about.
Yeah, he makes them sympathetic.
Right. So obviously, I don't know about you, but I've always liked Taskmaster to a point. And I think at a certain point they was like, oh, they just used him as the beginning issue of an arc. Of an arc. It's kind of fodder. Like, it was kind of a bummer when, I think as you said before, like, Taskmaster used to be kind of a big deal, you know, going up against some folks. Like he even says in this book, I was like, yeah, I usually poke at Cap or Daredevil and Spidey and all that kind of good myth. You know, just to kind of see him get relegated.
Right.
It's kind of a bummer, but it's nice to see old Tasky getting some shine, or not necessarily shine, but you know, getting some
character work.
Yeah. So that being said, we can go on to, I guess now we can go on to the X books. And where do you want to start off with?
You think it's fair to start off with the Hellfire Gala?
Yeah, I think totally fair.
Yeah. So the X-Men Hellfire Gala #1 is written by Jerry Duggan with art by Chris Anka, Russell Dowderman, Matteo Loli, and C.F. Villa. Colors are by Rain Barredo, Frank Martin, and Matt Miller, and Matthew Wilson, and letters are by VC's Corey Pettit. So this is the second X-Men Hellfire Gala. I don't think that this one was as filled with guest appearances from like pop culture as the first one was.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right. But again, I think that was also, I mean, I presume we still have some other issues that are going to explore the gala a little bit more, just like they did last year.
Right.
So there was probably that was just the opening salvo.
Right. So bottom line here is some of the developments at the end of the previous volume of X-Men, right? The last ride for the first group of X-Men who were elected to the X-Men squad from the first Hellfire Gala. Some of the developments in that come to light to the rest of the world and the rest of Krakoa here. And I hope that Roddykat had read that issue and caught up on that, because I know I talked about it last week, and this, I believe, happened 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Wait, I'm sorry, which issue?
From X-Men #12.
Oh, yes.
Right. Remember, I skirted around it because I didn't want to spoil it for you.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I think last week I talked about it directly, and I hope you weren't spoiled by what I was saying.
No. You were good.
Okay. Good. So, but here the ramifications start to rear their heads, and especially with the timing of the second Hellfire Gala coming, and so we have several guests looking to inquire about the newly immortal X-Men, no pun intended here. There is a party crasher that is looking to make her way in and tries to use a known commodity in the Marvel Universe to do so. And that, that draws in some Spider-Man action. Bottom line here is that we have a new X-Men team elected. It is not who you think it would be. I was very surprised to see this group. I know that there are some callbacks in this issue to some older issues of Marvel canon. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Going to the 90s and the 80s. And so, if you're not familiar with it, that it's time to hit the Googles and maybe consult your handy dandy Marvel Unlimited app. We're not being sponsored here. It's just something that we talk about all the time.
It is a tool, yes.
Bottom line is that I felt like this was a good issue to help set up a multitude of directions that they're going in, and to also advance some of the stories that have been to this point continuing over the course of the X-Men books. And it's been a little difficult for us, I have to admit, it's been a little difficult for us as the Comic Book Chronicles to keep up with the X books, because I fell off of Marauders, I fell off of a lot of the Nightcrawler based stuff. I know Roddykat tries to give that stuff a shot, but it feels like most of the major storylines were advanced in this issue. I keep up with X-Force, the main X-Men book, and Immortal X-Men. So I feel like most of the stories in those 3 books were advanced here in this issue. Roddykat, what did you think?
So, going back to what you just said, yes, I try to keep up with some of that stuff because there are some things, there's a lot. We, as Agent said, we read a lot. There's a lot even in the X corner of his books, of the books. And sometimes that lends to be like little things that end up coming up later in the big books, the quote unquote big books, that kind of start on the side of books that you know you might end up missing if you're watching it. If you're not reading. That said, I'm not reading everything because I'm not reading Wolverine, and there's some stuff that's actually a case in point because, as I recall, Agent 70 has talked about some stuff in the past that has kind of come to be a big thing from Wolverine and Wolverine related books.
Right. Yeah, Wolverine kind of ties into what's going on in X-Force because they're both written by Benjamin Percy.
Right. And I do keep up with X-Force, even though I think I'm still might be an issue 2 But that being said, I also enjoyed this issue. I also find it funny because there's always a callback to redheads in the X-Men, and I believe it was if it wasn't in this issue, it was in Immortal from this week's where Sinister was like, yeah, there's always X-Men in those redheads. But I can't remember which one because like his stuff is blurring together. And we do get, I think Agent 70 may or may not have said, we do get the introduction to the new team, of which partially I am happy to see because there are some amazing friends on that team.
Yes.
Who I believe have not shared the stage together in a good minute. Not since that Iceman. Not since the Iceman
there was that one shot with Spidey where they brought them together and they just made like snide hints at them being amazing friends. Right. Do you remember that, like from a few years back?
Yeah, but I think that was before. Yeah, I think that was might have been before this issue I'm talking about of Iceman, where they kind of came back in for one issue.
No, maybe that was that issue of Iceman. We were thinking of the same thing.
We might be. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yes, that being said, though, like there have been hits. As a matter of fact, there's an article in the clickbait section about that whole, not about that, but kind of stuff around that whole thing. Regardless, to end what I thought, I enjoyed this. It is definitely, if you are the type of person who's trying to keep up with the X books and whatever the events that are going on right now, this is probably a place to start because it's definitely filtering into another event that is also going on at the same time, as well as stuff that's going on in the X corner that is in relation to that event and a plot point.
Right, that event is literally around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, we got one issue.
It's the summer, right? It's the summer event. Right. So basically, the Hellfire Gala issue leads right into the next Marvel event for the summer. How about we do the other related? Because New Mutants this week's not related. Wolverine's not related, but Immortal X-Men #4 is related.
Yes, go for it.
So it's written by Kieron Gillen, with art by Michelle Bandini, colors by David Curiel, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So this issue really approaches what happens around the events of the Hellfire Gala from Emma Frost's perspective. Right, so it's very much an Emma Frost-centered issue. Everything from just before the gala to something that happens during the gala. Surprisingly, as the result of the news leaking out about the immortality of the X-Men, and I was pretty surprised to see that. We do have some developments that are happening here based on the reveal from X-Men #12. With Sinister and possibly another version, possibly the original version. That is a big mystery that is left open still. Mm-hmm. And so, we get a lot of that here in this issue. Obviously, Immortal X-Men has revolved around the kind of Game of Thrones style politicking around the Quiet Council, and this issue does not disappoint with that because Sinister has always been that questionable character that sits on the council and is obviously looking to stab everyone on the council in the back.
And they know it.
I'm sorry?
I said, and I feel like they know it, that he's right. That he is.
Right. So bottom line here is that's the bulk of the issue, and that is the point of the issue. Do you have anything to add?
So the only thing I would have to add is the fact that I find it funny because I think even in this issue kind of mentions it. Last year there was a whole bunch of news because of the whole Araco thing and the mutant drug that they gave the people of Earth. And going into this, there was like, well, yeah, we don't have any news, so it's good that we just disappear. And then, of course, the events of X-Men 12 kind of uprooted that. So the mutants are now in the news for something bigger than last year's than that last year's news unintentionally. So I found that part kind of funny. But yeah, this is definitely a potential click of the week for me. I will go so far as to say. Well, excuse me, between this and the Hellfire Gala, because they're definitely probably should be read together. And there is a reading order in the back of the book for folks who want to keep up with that stuff. And they've been good about keeping up with the X books with a reading order because stuff tends to tie into each other. So it's worth checking that out.
Right, I totally blew it with this. When I sat down to read these books yesterday, totally blew it. I read Immortal first, and I was like, "What?" I guess this is tying right into Hellfire Gala, which is last on my list because I'm reading things in alphabetical order. Right. So,
and I did the same thing, but like I said, I had actually looked at because I kind of figured Immortal was going to go into the Gala book, which it kind of did, but at the same time, it also goes back the other way. But the reading order. Kind of shed some light on the other big event, which is, like I said, you would probably want to read Hellfire and this before that. So we were both kind of screwed in a way because of that. But anyway, like I said, if you get a chance to read them, definitely check out the reading order in the back of the book. That being said. Let's see. Do we have any other books, or is that it? We're going to wrap it.
No, they're just the AXE.
Okay, so yeah, we'll do that real quick.
Eve of Judgment. We'll do this one quick.
Yeah.
So it's written by Kieron Gillen, just like Immortal X-Men, with art by Pasquale Ferry, colors by Dean White, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So as the title implies, this is the Eve of the Judgment Day event that is going to run through several corners of the Marvel universe, but it's going to revolve around the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Eternals. We get the opening salvo of the Eternals moves against the X-Men in this issue. And I messed up because I read this first. I was like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen here. Same. And then something happens at the end of this issue, and I was like, when is this going to be revealed in the X books? And of course, later on in my reading, I found out exactly when it happened.
I did the exact same thing.
Yep. So, I feel more frustrated about Marvel trying to make the Eternals happen than I did when Marvel was trying to make the Inhumans happen. I think it's because I just had I had more of an affinity for Black Bolt, Medusa, and Lockjaw. Just those three characters than any and all of these Eternals, and I think that's the biggest problem I have. I just do not care about what's going on with these Eternals. I'm just having a lot of trouble, getting into the story, and that's just me. They just don't seem all that sympathetic. I understand that Druig is doing Druig-y things, this version of Druig, and I know that. Uranos is a big deal because that's a character that was being consulted by Thanos in the regular Eternal series that Gillen was writing. And I did my best to try to keep up with the Eternal series that Gillen was writing, but I just couldn't keep up. Like I said, I just don't care enough about the Eternals, and it's just difficult for me, to not have any touchstone characters to care about on the roster of the Eternals. So those are my thoughts.
No, I agree. The only one that would almost qualify for that for me was Cersei, and this is not the same Cersei as this is technically not even the same Cersei that was on the Avengers like decades ago. Kind of is, kind of isn't. Put it that way, because there is a little touch of the MCU with this version of the Eternals now, and they've kind of softened her up a little bit to being she's. So kind of the hedonist that she was then, but they don't really play that up all that much. So
right, that whole storyline with the Black Knight, they might revisit.
Yes, maybe
because of what happened in the MCU, but we don't know yet. So it's like I said, you know, I guess Roddykat does bring up Cersei as like that one touchstone character, but I wasn't all that attached to her in the 90s.
Right.
You know, it's not Lockjaw. It's not Lockjaw.
Right.
Well, it's not Black Bolt, you know, being super intimidating and quiet, you know. Right. And that Black Bolt series that Saladin Ahmed did, you know, went a long way in me really, you know, rooting for Black Bolt. Yes. And it really sucks that the Inhumans were done away with the way they have been, basically.
Right. Because
of their failure in the MCU or on Marvel television. So, but in any event, you know, that's those are my feelings on AXE. Roddykat, did you have anything else to add?
So I was going to kind of agree with you with the Inhumans thing, but also there was that whole thing with, hey, they didn't, because of the fact that Fox had the the license for the X-Men, is the why they tried to make Inhumans happen the way they did, both in the MCU and in the comics, which, hey, we got a couple of other good characters out of it also, as opposed to the Roy family that was already there that we know and love. So there was that, but at the same, I say that to say that I'm in agreement with Agent 70 about that, because like, yeah, Eternals, they were a thing at one point, and even back in the day when they kind of were of a slight bigger thing, they weren't really all that. Like, they kind of came and went, they had their own thing going on, and it was always them versus the Deviants, and sometimes they would cross over with the Avengers or whatever the case may be and that kind of stuff. But outside of that, I was like, all right, this is just another set of semi-godlike people, and just like wasn't really much to them. And that's still kind of the case, even though we have the Eternals, which we never thought we'd see on the screen, big screen. Right. But yeah, it's still kind of lesser characters, and they totally dropped the ball on the Inhumans, which is, as we said with Miss Marvel, was a big bummer on so many levels because of, you know, now that Marvel has the Mutants license back, is like, oh well, we're all mutants. We're going to be all mutants all the time now, as opposed to what caused them to get to the point to where they couldn't use mutants in the first place in the MCU. And again, the whole MCU the vacation of the books is kind of a problem because
the MCUification, that's our term.
Yeah, because of that, it's like, well, you know, but here we are, and sadly, here's where we're going to be for the foreseeable future, and that part is kind of always going to be a thing that we're going to come back to.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being critical of the approach and the direction they're going in. You know, we have very specific qualms and specific issues to take up with the direction these books are going in. But bottom line is, this is the sound effect I've got. Yeah, and we can move on to rapid fire, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say, whether AXE ends up being something or not, who's to say? We'll probably keep a finger on it, but
it's going to be all summer. It's going to be all summer. It's going to reach into all corners of the Marvel universe.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. So we'll definitely have no choice but to kind of keep our finger on it one way or the other. But I don't know whether this is going to be anything or not. But yeah, now let's go into rapid fire.
I ain't got time to bleed.
All right. Would you like me to go first?
Sure, go for it.
Sure. First up for me is Daredevil #1. It's written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Marco Cacchetto, colors by Matthew Wilson, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So we literally pick up right where we left off from the previous issues of Daredevil, as well as that miniseries whose name I cannot recall right now.
Devil's Reign.
Devil's Reign, thank you. Could not remember. It's been months. That's the thing, since Devil's Reign ended. So, you know, in one year, not the other, right? But bottom line here is Daredevil and Elektra are looking to take up a different direction in their lives. One of the best parts about this issue is that it has a lot of Spidey in it, because it basically reinforces the Daredevil and Spidey partnership that has kind of gone by the wayside, especially because of Ock and because of other things going on in Spidey's life and stupid Ben Reilly and all this other stuff. But you put Peter and Matt back together, kicking butt, knocking heads, kicking butt and taking names, or kicking heads and wait, how did Mantis put it? I forget. But bottom line here is, we have a lot of threads being picked up from Devil's Reign and the previous volume of Daredevil, and also setting up the future of Daredevil and Elektra going forward. So it's a pretty strong first issue, but it does require you, the reader, to have kept up with Devil's Reign and with the previous Daredevil volume. So this is basically a straight up continuation of that. Whether or not it's an easy issue for a first time reader to pick up, it's hard to say because of that. It just is. But I enjoyed it because I have been keeping up with it. It was a pretty fun book to catch up. The Daredevil here is this version of Daredevil, the developments that have come in his life have made this version of Daredevil kind of more fun to catch up with. Next up is New Mutants number 27. It's written by Vita Ayala with the main art by Rod Reese, flashback art by Jan Dersima. The colors on the flashbacks are by Ruth Redmond because Rod Reese does his own colors, and letters are by VC's Travis Lanham. So this Vita Ayala story has been pretty strong. I don't know if Roddykat has been keeping up with it.
Yes.
Right. So you just didn't get to it this week because we just had a lot of books to read. But
I did. I read it.
Oh, you did read it. Okay, thanks. So you can pop in and at any time with what you think of this issue, because I thought that the strongest parts of this issue were the parts that weave together what we knew of Illyana's time in Limbo. It's not, it's always been sort of filled in here and there. I don't think we have like the best description of it, but I felt like this story arc does a lot to fill in a lot of the blanks that we have in Illyana's time in Limbo.
Right.
It's told through a storytelling convention of is it C.S. Lewis?
Yes, partially. Yes.
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland.
That's the storytelling. That's the framing mechanism that Vita Ayala uses.
Yes. So what this thing made me do, actually, because there was, and I think I alluded to this the last time we talked about New Mutants, is that this is taking from, as Agent 7 said, taken from Illyana's time in Limbo, which was chronicled in a miniseries back in late 80s.
Right, called Magic, right?
Right, yeah, it was either Magic or Magic and Storm, I can't remember, but I think it was the Magic miniseries regardless, because she was the focal point of it. And as Agent 7 said, like, this story is filling in stuff that wasn't really wasn't mentioned there, which I say all that to say that this is making me want to go back and read that, because I don't think I read that originally. I had intended to, for some reason. I think at the time I was in a certain part of the X-Books, but not all of it. I can't remember when. If this was in the 90s, that was the standard reason why I didn't. But if it was like early 80s, or not late 80s, like late 80s, I think it was.
I want to say late 80s.
Yeah.
I want to say late 80s and possibly early 90s, but my gut says late 80s because I didn't read it. I actually inherited it in a collection that I was given. Mm-hmm. So I do own those issues. I just have never read them. So I may just dive into Marvel Unlimited and check that out. Again, we are not sponsored by Marvel Unlimited.
Exactly, which was the reason why I mentioned that, because it's like, okay, yeah, because Illyana, I love the mutants. We talked about it when we did the Evergreen episode a couple of years ago, or was it? Man, that was a while ago. Regardless,
yeah, the earliest part of the pandemic.
Yeah, man, that was like 2 years ago. Good gracious. Oof.
Yep.
Either way, so continue to love the New Mutants now, and having this kind of flesh her backstory a little bit more, and was a great story. So if you are, if you enjoy that character, you should definitely check out this arc for that, and probably like we're going to do is go back and check that miniseries.
Right. All right. Next up for me is Punisher number 4. It's written by Jason Aaron with pencils by Jesus Saiz, inks by Paul Azaceta, colors by Dave Stewart, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So in this issue, there is definitely a turn in the story where Frank seemed to be under the thrall of the Hand. He seemed to be, under heavy influence. He seems to not be in control of his faculties. In this issue, though, we're starting to see that turn. And whether or not that turn comes anytime soon, It's what it is. It's interesting that there is a panel with Frank in it in that first Daredevil issue by Zdarsky and Cacchetto this week. And obviously, with Frank as the fist of the hand, and Daredevil and Elektra being, the opposition to the hand, looking to take the hand down, we're anticipating a showdown at some point. So, but bottom line here is, we're starting to see cracks in what the hand seemingly have done to Frank Castle, and the current status quo, the current state of Frank's mental and his let's say resurrected character, loved one, that is probably going to be in flux very soon. I'll leave it at that. Last but not least for me is Wolverine number 23. It's written by Benjamin Percy with art by Adam Kubert, colors by Frank Martin, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So this is the last issue with guest appearance from Deadpool. Wolverine and Deadpool have been up against Danger. I forget that song that I was just thinking of. Danger. But Danger, if you recall, was the sentient Danger Room that appeared in, I want to say it was the Joss Whedon Astonishing X-Men run.
That sounds right.
And some stuff happens over the course of these past few issues, but bottom line here is that all's well that ends well. There's some hijinks involving Deadpool and Wolverine here. And we also get a tease at the end of the issue for upcoming X-Force issues where, as I said earlier, Benjamin Percy is writing both the Wolverine book and X-Force. So it's not like Roddykat's missing too much from Wolverine if he's keeping up with X-Force. So bottom line here is that it seems like Deadpool is going to be guest starring in the X-Force issues that cross over into this AXE event this summer. And that's it for me.
So I'm going to assume you meant blase blah Danger as opposed to Mystical's Danger, because I feel like
I think I was thinking of Mystical.
Were you? Huh. Okay.
I think so. Watch yourself.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I was thinking of.
Okay. I was like, all right. I was thinking more hip hop than. Well, I mean, they're both hip hop, but I was thinking more when the East is in the house. Oh my God, Danger.
Oh no! I was thinking of Mystical.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Mystical.
Nice.
But yeah, listen, it's funny that we have two different references for Danger.
Mm-hmm. And I think one came from the other. I'm almost certain.
When the East is when the East is in the house. Oh my God.
Danger. Mm-hmm.
All right, and off you go, Roddykat.
I am Batman, number 11. I'm not really Batman, but hey, there you go. Written by John Ridley. Yes, that John Ridley. Art by Kristen Deuce and Tom Derenick. Colors by Rex Locus. Letters by Troy Pateri. So after the events of last issue, Detective Chubb and this other detective who were at odds with each other both get questioned about what happened with the whole man race situation, and in between themselves, which leads one of them to be the stereotypical, hey, you better watch your back. We don't, cops don't squeal on each other, or not squeal on each other, but cops don't, cops don't cop on each other, basically, which leads to something that happens later on in the issue with Chubb and her partner. But at the other side of this, we get to see Jace and Vald try to, I guess, set up their version of the Batcave, their Batcave in some abandoned terminal or something. I don't know. And the other side of this, we see Jace's sister Tam back on her feet, but the apparently wanting to stay in New York. So I guess this is what's partially the thing that's keeping them there in the first place, because going back to Gotham based on what everything that's happened is going to take a while. But we also get an appearance by one Renee Montoya, who maybe coming into the fold of this book in a similar situation as she was in the back books previously, which Detective Chubb doesn't really care too much about because of what happened between them before going into this version of the book. So that's kind of a thing. And also we get the reappearance of, which I don't know, maybe this has been around, but the question kind of comes back into play at the end of this. So that's always good to see both Renee Montoya and her version of that character come into play. For what reason, we'll find out. Next up, Captain Carter, number 4. So this is that Peggy Carter, Captain America book. You haven't been reading this, have you? You didn't? Not really care to, yeah. This has actually been an interesting book, kind of. In this particular issue, actually, let's see. It's written by Jamie McElvey, art by Marika Cresta, color artist Matt Miller, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So basically, there's a team up between Peggy Carter and Tony Stark. Who Tony Stark in this particular world seems to be more Machine Man in a way than the Tony Stark from the 616. In that, let's just say there's more body modifications of the technical kind than we know he's had in the regular universe. So there is that, and then there's this whole cover-up thing with the Prime Minister that is going on. And at the end of this issue, we found out there's more to this Prime Minister than not necessarily meets the eye, but apparently does meet than meets the eye, which is also kind of weird now that I think about it. But I think that's probably been explained. There's a supernatural spin that is going on with the Prime Minister and what he's trying to do in this universe that Peggy's going to go up against. And this is the penultimate issue, so there's only one more left. So we'll see how that plays out in the last issue. Star Wars: The Mandalorian, number 1. It is written by Rodney Barnes, pencils by George Jonti, inks by Carl Story, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. If you're expecting an all-new story, as far as we know, or as far as I know right at this point, you're not going to get it. This is basically a retelling of the first season of The Mandalorian. More specifically, the first episode of the first season. And that's all this pretty much is. Even going to the end of the end of that first issue where it ends off. So, if you wanted to read that in the comic book form, here you go. Let's see. And actually, that is it for me. So we can go to the Kliqs of the week.
Yeah, it's interesting that Rodney Barnes is on this. You know, that Rodney Barnes is, the writer of Philadelphia, which I've been following for a few years now. And he is, he's one of the showrunners of that Lakers Showtime show that was just on HBO.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's interesting to see that Rodney Barnes was tapped to adapt the first season of The Mandalorian. We'll see, I would say, take a look at the next issue and see if they literally are doing a beat for beat retelling of the first season of The Mandalorian throughout this.
I would say, judging by the way this ended, I would go so far as to say absolutely, because there's no way in the world they're going to deviate from where they left this issue off.
Okay.
So.
All right. So that means we are going into Kliqs of the Week.
Mm-hmm. And we have 2 Kliqs from our absentee hosts. Neither of them are surprising. Good nonetheless. From Dirt, we got Moon Knight number 13, which I don't think he didn't say anything.
No.
Okay, yeah. Just sometimes he would give a little note with why he picked it, but he did not. And from Tim, we got X-Men Hellfire Gala number 1. 2 pretty strong picks.
I agree.
For myself, I'm kind of teetering between Hellfire Gala, Fantastic Four, 45, and possibly New Mutants.
I really enjoyed Daredevil #1. There's something about the Spidey and Daredevil reunion that did make me feel so good. They were reunited, and I really did enjoy reading that. But at the same time, I feel like X-Men Hellfire Gala #1 did so much storytelling and did so much movement from, it had so many plates to spin.
Yeah.
And it kept them spinning and moving right into AXE, the summer event. I think X-Men Hellfire Gala #1 is going to be my click of the week as well this week.
Nice. And hey, got a Spider-Man Wolverine team up out of that also.
Right. Call back to the 80s Spider-Man Wolverine comic book.
Right, and you mentioned that. I totally forgot because up until I read that part, I was like, oh shoot, I had forgotten all about it. Because I remember reading that joint. As a matter of fact, I may still have it somewhere around here. But yeah, I was like, I totally forgot about that.
I did not buy that until many years later.
Right.
I remember seeing it on the stand. I was like, oh, that looks so cool. But it was like a prestige format book.
Right.
So it was like, this is back when comics were like 75 cents.
Something
and
like
I think that book cost like $2.50 or $1. It just cost more than I wanted to spend.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I could get 2 books for the price of this. I'm going to get 2 books.
Yeah, I mean, I think I actually ended up.
This is kid logic, but it's real logic.
I mean, that's real talk right there. I think I also ended up buying it later, but I remember reading it because it was probably in like a bookstore, before they started wrapping up everything,
right,
where you could just thumb through it and was like, okay, that's cool.
No, at this point in my life, I was actually going to a regular comic book store, right, and I had store credit, right, that I was building, but I did not want to have a pull list because I didn't want to commit to anything, and right, I didn't commit to a pull list for many years after that. So,
right. Well, yeah, and I think I didn't actually. I mean, yeah, I was also going to a comic book store, but also I was thinking like, okay, yeah, these 2 characters were, if I'm not mistaken, around that time were probably at the heights of their popularity. Probably one probably gaining more than the other at this time.
Right.
And I was like, well, this is a book that's sure, whatever. And I had a little bit more of an affinity for one of the characters than I do now, because that's why I'm not reading Wolverine. Even though I still like the character, but he was all over the place for a while. That's why I kind of cut off of him. Either way, I'm stalling. I think. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Hellfire Gala also, because there was a lot in that, and it was actually interesting. And plus, like I said, the new team with the Amazing Friends. I'm always down for that. So, and with that, folks, we are going to go into the news. But first, an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Funko, Fun at First Sight, your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world-famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise such as their custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Let me start off with the cinematic news as we do. Miss Marvel star calls attempted review bombing laughable, which I would agree with that criticism because it always is. Apparently, Iman Vellani was addressing some of the toxic feedback that the show's received, including review bombing on sites like IMDb and Metacritic, which, if you've been around this show for a long time, I don't like Metacritic at all, or Rotten Tomatoes, but that's just me. Quote, I'm not on social media. I hear things that my mom tells me, though. It's honestly quite laughable, and I think change is scary for a lot of people. And having a show that surrounds a 16-year-old who's Pakistani and Muslim and a superhero is scary for a lot of people, excuse me. I think this is going to rip the Band-Aid off, and hopefully people will fall in love with her. Vellani added that she knew this was going to happen going into the show, but that she only cared about constructive criticism, not hatred, and that's just purely for the sake of hating in quotes. So good on her. Gotta,
Absolutely. That's why we're doing our best to keep our criticisms specific.
Yes. Next up.
Next up, Hawkeye's Haley Steinfeld is reportedly returning for multiple MCU projects. So Kate Bishop will be back in as the new Avenging Archer, with Haley Steinfeld reprising her Hawkeye role in more upcoming projects. Variety reported the news amidst its 2022 Emmy coverage. Hawkeye itself had landed 2 nominations. There's no indication when Kate Bishop could suit up again in the MCU. Most likely is a second season of Hawkeye. So we'll see if there's more appearances coming.
Yeah, like that. One would hope. Obviously, I think it's been established that they're probably trying to put together young Avengers. So it stands to reason that could be going into a Phase 5. We don't know. Marvel She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, composer has been revealed. So as Agent 70 said, we're almost about a month away from She-Hulk. And we found out that the show has a composer, which you would think would have happened before now, in the form of... Oh, wait. Apparently, we also found out, according to this article, it's going to be 9 episodes. And we knew Mark Ruffalo and Tim Roth was going to be there, and Wong was going to be there, Benedict Wong, and a host of other people apparently are showing up in the, including... I can't remember her name from Hamilton, so I guess that's something. Renee Elise Goldsberry, who I love. So, but anyway, who is the name? Amy Doherty is going to serve as the series' composer. Doherty's past work includes Undone, Happiest Season, and Spirits Untamed, none of which I have no idea what it's about. Next up.
So in several new stills that were released for the upcoming Disney Plus She-Hulk series, comicbook.com reported in the caption of one photo that showed Jen Walters in a courtroom revealed that She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, will include one of the character's longtime courtroom rivals from the comics, Dennis Buck Bukowski. He will be portrayed in live action by Drew Matthews. So the character first appeared in Savage She-Hulk #2 in 1980 when he came head-to-head with the defense attorney, whereas Buck Bukowski was a criminal prosecutor. There's some other stuff here about what the character's origin was in the comics, but we'll see how they change it in the TV show.
Yep. I'm actually looking forward to She-Hulk. I said before, I love She-Hulk, so I hope they do her right. Young Han Solo actor cast in Marvel's Ironheart. So great. Alden Ehrenreich. Ehrenreich? Yeah.
Ehrenreich, I think it is.
I think that's right. Yeah, Ehrenreich. Because I've never heard of him say it, I don't think. Either way, young Han is joining Ironheart. We don't know who he's going to play or as what. I wonder if they're going to try him out as a villainous role. Who's to say? But we don't know anything outside of the fact that he's going to be in the cast with the other folks. Next up.
The second season of Loki is currently shooting principal photography in and around London. The production's recent tendency to film on practical outdoor sets has led to a plethora of set photos being taken. The latest batch of snapshots include Tom Hiddleston's eponymous Asgardian trickster and Owen Wilson's TVA agent Mobius M. Mobius. Okay.
A plethora?
Apparently so.
You have to be of a certain finish to get that reference, but that's right. Shout out to Three Amigos. Thor 4 is Christian Bale explains why playing Gore is the easiest job. Actually, he kind of doesn't. He just basically says it's easy because he kind of does say it was like, yeah, people are kind of sort of rooting for the villain, which is also true. There are more villain lovers out there than used to be. This age of the internet. It says here, playing the hero, that's the toughest job, according to him. He also says that apparently there were some scenes that were filmed with his character, and the Grandmaster, but and Etri, which I did see, I think in a spoiler video or something that was mentioned, but they were left on the cutting room floor, so we'll probably see those in the home release, I would assume. So maybe we'll also get another Team Daryl short or a Team Thor short. We don't know, which I just finally saw those for the first time ever. So we'll see. Next up.
All right, in some welcome news, Netflix subscribers now have access to one of my favorite Spider-Man animated shows of all time, The Spectacular Spider-Man, which made its debut in 2008 on the CW and ran for 2 seasons. There were future seasons planned, but the production came to an abrupt halt when Disney purchased Marvel. So the belief is that since the series was a production of Sony Pictures Television, Disney wanted its own Spider-Man show under its own production umbrella. This led to the creation of Ultimate Spider-Man on Disney XD. If you missed the Spectacular Spider-Man, now's your time to catch up on it while it's streaming on Netflix. I love this series. I absolutely adore the voice acting and some of the writing. Not all of the writing, but definitely some of the adaptations that they put into play to basically retell the origin story of Spider-Man in, more recent times. And this is, I say more recent times with a tongue firmly planted in cheek, because this is from 2008.
Right. And I believe this was younger Spidey before Ultimate, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this show I remember because a couple of years ago when Agent 70 was kind of going on about this show. I can't remember why it even came up. Probably because it was on DVD or something, or I know we talked about it a while ago. I think I ended up getting it because I know he said it was his favorite show, and I've watched some of it. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. I still kind of like one of the other versions a little bit more, but it's definitely has some good points to it. And so if you haven't had a chance to check that out, go for it. And
it's on Netflix now.
It is. Yeah, so the thing about this show is like Agent 70 was saying, is like it got caught up in a perfect storm of a whole bunch of things that had gotten it canceled at the time. It was just a bad time for it, put it that way.
Right.
So, but it lives on Netflix for at least until they take it off of there. Taika Waititi considers directing Star Wars on The Mandalorian a highlight of his life. Now, we also know that he's also gotten a Star Wars, excuse me. I'm going to continue to do that, folks, so get over it. A Star Wars project out of it, but this is basically him, I guess, while he's being interviewed about Thor: Love and Thunder. He talks about his work with Jon Favreau and helming the last episode of season 1 of The Mandalorian, and said that it was a huge learning experience and it was a very special thing for him to do that episode. So, yeah, like I said, he ends up getting some more Star Wars work out of it, so I guess that makes some more sense. Next up.
I would get this story. So apparently, Morbin time is not over quite yet for Morbius fans who are attending this year's San Diego Comic-Con next week, because there's going to be an in-person screening of the Sony Pictures film at San Diego Comic-Con. It's going to begin at 3:50 p.m. on Thursday, July 21st. It will be held in Grand 5 of the Marriott Marquis San Diego Marina, following a showing of Ghostbusters Afterlife and Before the Fifth Element. San Diego Comic-Con will also be showing Spider-Man No Way Home, another Sony comic book movie, later that day. Seriously?
Hey, boo!
Hiya.
I mean, seriously? More Morbin time?
Yeah,
seriously?
They're basically trying to make fetch happen here, which it shouldn't. It's not going to. Just let it go. How about this?
Your mother brought you up wrong, that's what it is.
I haven't used that one in a long time. Just because Roddykat was talking just a bit over, I'll play one more time.
That's terrible, man. Your mother brought you up wrong, that's what it is.
So yeah, how the best thing Sony could do is to work with Marvel again, so we can kind of get some more get things back the way they should be. But we know they're not going to do that, which sucks. So. Hey, guess what, folks? All of the Barbies and Margot Robbie's Barbie movie got together for a sleepover before filming.
Ah, that rhymed.
Yeah, sure did. Shout out to, I was about to call him Zach Braff, but that's not who wrote this article, and I'm not going to say his name. So, apparently, there's a quote from this, is right in the beginning we had a sleepover for the Barbies, which would involve playing games with Scott Evans and Nkuti Gatwa, according to Emma Mackey, who is also the part of the cast. I don't play games usually, but I got so competitive angry. Part of me is like, I don't know what in the world this movie is going to be, but hearing the behind the scenes stuff like this is like, I kind of want to at the very least see what the hell's going on. I'm probably not going to watch this movie, but at the same time, yes, I will. I probably will, because I got to know what the fuck this thing is going to be. There's no reason for this movie to exist, but at the same time, I don't know. It's probably going to be better than Jim and the Holograms movie or such the like. We don't know. Oh no. Anyway, next up.
In anticipation of the season 3 premiere of DC's hilarious Harley Quinn adult animated series on HBO Max, later this month on July 28th, IGN has an exclusive poster reveal featuring Batman, King Shark, Bane, and more, and Roddykat probably has that up for everyone to see. So, interesting.
And I believe, yes, the teaser trailer, and I believe it was another trailer that also came out since this article has come out about season 3. So there's that if you are fans. The Bob's Burgers movie is now streaming on Hulu and HBO Max, apparently. Excuse me, I'm pretty sure there's some Bob's Burgers fans out there. I can't say that I'm one of them. Then again, I've not really watched too many episodes, so it's not that I hate it. It's just that I've not really seen much of it. But hey, guess what, folks? It's out there if you're so inclined to check it out if you have not already. Next up.
All right, so The Boys TV show is going to cross over with its spin-off titled The Boys Presents Varsity. The Boys showrunner Eric Kripke confirmed in an interview with Deadline via Collider that some of the storylines of season 3 of The Boys hand off to the first season of Varsity, creating the possibility for familiar faces to appear in the spin-off. The Boys season 3 finale debuted last week on Prime Video, as I discussed earlier. Okay.
Ninja Turtle fans, bring The Last Ronin to life in stunningly detailed animation. On July 1st, the animation and film channel Speedokagen, run by creator Magnus Edlund, debuted its fan-made adaptation of 2020's The Last Ronin, which was another, well, let's say 2020, it was like 2020 to 2022, as long as that took to come out. Anyway, the short introduces viewers to the titular hero at the end of his rope, along with allusions to the tragedies he suffered leading up to the series' devastating vision of the future. Now, this one, as opposed to the next one we're about to talk about, I did not get a chance to check out, but kind of curious to see the quality of it. Next up.
Next up, we are in Anime Corner. So, and this is appropriate for this first Anime Corner story. So after 4 years of development, Studio Stray Dog has finally released its animated short film, which is dedicated to Dragon Ball Z, and apparently, according to the writer of this article, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's titled Legend, A Dragon Ball Tale. It's an 8-minute film featuring an intense battle between Dragon Ball mainstays, including Goku and Broly, or Brawly, depending on who you are and how you pronounce it. It includes a new take on Dragon Ball's famous transformations, which feel almost brutal in this take on Akira Toriyama's classic, and is dedicated to every child who believed they could train in 100 times Earth's gravity. Okay.
Yeah, you should check it out. It looks pretty good. Part of it kind of reminded me of, at least if you're looking at the still that's in the article that I'm showing on the video version, it kind of looks like the art style of Mobile Suit Gundam, weirdly enough, but doesn't necessarily go there. But yeah, you should check it out. It's pretty good. Dragon Ball creator breaks down reasoning for Piccolo's new look. So this is a slight spoiler for Dragon Ball Superhero, which we won't necessarily go into, but I believe we have mentioned before that both Gohan and Piccolo have new forms, And this is articles kind of going into a reason why Toriyama chose to make Piccolo's new form the way it is. Put it that way. Next up.
All right, next up, the Tale of Outcasts anime heads to Crunchyroll. So it's among a slew of exciting announcements from Anime Expo. Crunchyroll revealed that it plans to simulcast the recently revealed anime adaptation of Makoto Hoshino's The Tale of Outcasts manga. The series is coming to Crunchyroll soon to territories worldwide, except for Asia, and the original author shared a special illustration and message to go along with the news. Okay.
At first, I thought like this thing has a Beastars look to it, but no, I guess not. But anyway, Yu-Gi-Oh! We're going to get into the manga corner, but we don't need a transition for it.
Okay.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Crosses new sales milestone after creator's death. We talked about last week that Kazuki Takahashi's passing, and apparently as tends to happen sometimes, book sales went up. So, and just so happened to be the 20th anniversary of the original the original manga of Yu-Gi-Oh! Last year. So, you know. It's still a sad thing. So, but apparently, like 40 million copies have been purchased so far. I think that's to date, not with the passing. But so yeah, that's the thing. Next up.
So in a weird story, a long-lost Marvel hero is getting ready for their big comeback. You know, it's not somebody that's been off our radar completely, but we are referring to something that has spoilers for Marvel Voices Pride #1, as well as Mech Strike Monster Hunters #1, both available now from Marvel. Mm-hmm. These are books that came out recently. I think I skimmed the Pride issue. I don't know about Roddykat, and the Mech Strike issue, I don't even think I opened.
Neither actually. I didn't check either one so far.
So bottom line is they're bringing back Demolition Man, aka Dennis Dunphy D-Man. And apparently he's getting ready, in the hyperbolic words of this article writer, he's getting ready to become a breakout fan favorite after nearly 4 decades of trying. So yeah, apparently in this Mech Strike book, D-Man is leading a group of trans characters who are going to be putting on armor of some sort. So okay. Yeah, you know, making D-Man a thing.
Yeah. So the funny part about this was like last week, when you were talking about Captain America, I was totally going to make a D-Man joke. This was before even seeing this. So that's kind of funny that this article happened to come about. And yeah, that Mech Strike thing, I guess they're going the long haul. We tried to read that last one. We did read that last one, the last one, but I don't know. Just like with Savage Spider-Man.
I was about to say, apparently D-Man has come out of the closet and revealed himself as gay, so that's news to me. Good for him, but, you know, I don't recall anything that might have been in that Pride issue.
More than likely, yeah, because I don't remember that happening prior to recent history.
I just remember him being smelly in that Kurt Busiek and George Perez Avengers book. Mm-hmm. So, because he lived not with the Morlocks, but with like the underground people in the sewers. So,
right, and he was there because he had been a reserve Avenger, and nobody wanted to sit by him. I remember that. I still have that panel in my head thinking about him with that. That was sad. That was real sad. Anywho's, Marvel announces Moon Knight Werewolf by Night crossover, apparently, which is going to happen in the upcoming Moon Knight Annual #1. Let's see, and it's going to be Jack Russell, not the newer version of Werewolf by Night that one dude from the Black Eyed Peas wrote or co-wrote. Releasing in October, which weirdly enough, funny enough, coincides with the Halloween special that's coming out. Coinky Dink? I don't think so. Releasing in October, the synopsis for the Moon Knight Annual #1 reads, "In the Darkhold, there's a prophecy of how God might die. Jack Russell, more familiar with that cursed tome than most, would like very much to kill a god and save his people. The people bound in servitude to the moon. The ipso facto go on. You see where this is going. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll check it out. I think, Jed McCage's writing this. Federico Sabatini's doing the cover. So basically, it's a creative team for the current Moon Knight book. October 26th is when this is going to release. Next up.
All right, so these are spoilers for Knights of X #3 that's now on sale by Marvel Comics. I am not up on Knights of X, so this is news to me. So spoiler alert for anyone who is looking to read Knights of X #3. So apparently Gambit has bit the bullet, kicked the can, flung his last card, because apparently to save him, he sacrificed himself to save his fellow Knights of X from Merlin in Otherworld, apparently. So he used one of the cards from a deck of mystical tarot cards he'd stolen from Otherworld's ousted ruler Saturnine, to unleash a devastating explosion that consumed both him and Merlin. While Merlin's fate is currently unknown, Knights of X #3 ended with a gruesome close-up of Gambit's seemingly lifeless hand lying in a pool of blood, revealing that the card he'd drawn was the major arcana of death. So if you are familiar with tarot, apparently this may not be the last time we see the Cajun. So, but bottom line here is this is a pretty big spoiler, and I'm kind of curious as to why this didn't come up in the Hellfire Gala.
I suspect it will at some point, but you know how the timing of these things kind of happen, so that's probably more of a timing thing, and they'll catch up to it. Yeah, so this was kind of news to me also, even though I think I've read at the very least the first issue or two of this book. I didn't get a chance to get to this one. So, I mean, the only thing different is now we know the resurrection protocols don't really work in Otherworld like they do. So either he's going to come back different.
Right, like Rockslide.
Exactly. So if they do intend to bring him back, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Will he be the same person? Will they annul Rose in his marriage? Probably, because that's how the stupid kind of things they'll do. But we'll find out at some point down the line. Marvel Entertainment unveils 2022 San Diego Comic-Con panel lineup. So yeah, there's San Diego Comic-Con, you know, is the big thing coming up. Actually, what, a couple of weeks? Yeah, July 21st through the 24th. So there was next week, right?
Yeah, next week.
Yeah, next week. Sorry. So, hey, be on the lookout for more news after the week after that, because I'm pretty sure by the time the show happens, we're not going to have a whole lot to talk about.
All right, we'll have a few things, but not at the same clip, not the same amount as the week after.
Right, because there's usually stuff that comes out prior to the show, so no doubt we'll have something, just not a whole lot. Regardless, though, if you are interested, the list of panels is in this article, including stuff on Judgment Day and Marvel Fanfare. That's funny, but I think that's a thing that happens anyway, and some other stuff, Women of Marvel, and other stuff. But you can check that out in the article in the show notes. Next up.
Join the crew of the USS Protostar with these exclusive Star Trek Prodigy coloring pages. So you can share these with someone. You can print these up. Apparently, you can easily download them and print them out for free. And don't forget to tag @StarTrek on social with your creations. You never know who might see them. Okay.
Yeah. And hey, you know, these days and times, a good coloring book is sometimes a thing some folks might need, just to kind of keep their mind off for other things.
Yep.
The Emergence Universe invites fans to meet the Rejects in a new spinoff. We kind of talked about this a couple of weeks ago or something like that, but apparently CBR has a preview of the Rejects #1, which debuted on Interpop on July 6th. Shout out to the BDM and crew, which we don't get copies of their stuff because they're not readily available apparently. But if you are interested in that book, in that universe, there is a preview, some preview pages in this article. Next up.
Last but not least, spoiler alert here for Mighty Morphin #21, which is now available from Boom Studios. So while the Power Rangers have gone through a bunch of changes, you know, the comic book counterparts of these characters have gotten to relive many of those same experiences all over again, but with some shocking new twists. So, let's see here. All right, I am not familiar with any of these characters, but apparently
Here, I can shed light if you don't mind.
Oh, please, take it away.
The original Pink Ranger, Kimberly, went through specifically in the course of that Shattered Grid event from like last year before. Went through some things, and there was a future version of her that we ended up meeting, but I don't think she ever did. I can't remember because I can't remember if I remember reading the rest of it. But she discovers that she finally, I guess, catches up with some things that the other character, the other version of her, finds out about, I guess. So, and I think also something with having to do with Tommy, the Green Ranger at the time. So, in that whole thing, that was a pretty good. There was good stuff going on in that thing, but I didn't continue with it. So I don't know. Like I'll have to go back to this universe at some point to catch up. Especially after the things that's happened in this particular volume. So, but yeah, she found out some more stuff about what happens to her in the future and whatnot. Or a future version of her, I should say. And that, folks, is that. This in the news section. We can go get one last ad read.
Yes, and you know what it is. We started late because of some gremlins popping up, but thankfully we've made it through. Our last ad read of the night. You know, it's late for us, folks. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment. That helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Do it today. I did not partake in Prime Day. I don't know if you did.
Tangentially. I did buy something, but it wasn't, I don't think what I bought had any Prime Day discounts to it, yeah. So I kind of missed out. Actually, I did go in the last final hours to see if they had like Black Widow or Shang-Chi for sale or something. And I think they did have like a DVD. They had a DVD, a Blu-ray set for Transformers. I was like, no, I'm not doing that for myself.
I was mildly tempted by the Wolverine Marvel Legends 6-pack. The one with Omega Red and Cyber and Mastermind in the Hellfire Club clothing and Callisto. So I thought about that real hard. I was like, you know what? No, right. I've already held off this long, even though it was really cheap. It was like $69.
Right. You know what? I didn't even think to look at the that section. Yeah, because I was looking at a couple other sections. I was even looking at a bread maker for my wife or something. But
yeah, but you were looking practical. You know me. I'm always looking at Marvel Legends on Amazon.
Yeah, but if I had thought about it, because I still have some in my wish list, whatnot, and I was like, yeah, I guess I should have looked at it. And I was also looking at like Transformers. I didn't look at any Transformers either. Damn, that's a bummer. But yeah. Like I said, I kind of caught a whiff of it, but I didn't really go too far into it. I did take advantage of some of the games that they gave away for free, or at least one of them that I didn't have. So that's something, I guess. But either way, hey, this is not well, Amazon is a sponsor, but we are not directly getting anything from them, so there is that. Anyway, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PCN_dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter also, and popculturenetwork.com, and all the umbrella sites therein. Tim, DOGG98, the Osiris that is ish. You can find him at that. You can also find him at CB Chron, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. You can also find him at The Kliq Nation on Twitter. That's TheKliqNation. You could also find him at comicbook.com, where he's over there writing his face off. And not that god-awful movie. I know people love Face Off. I don't, but that's just me. We're not going to get into that. That's another podcast, folks. You can also find this here podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network. That's cspn.us.
Do it today.
John Woo has way better movies. Let me say, The Killer. Watch that. Better Tomorrow. Watch that. Anyway, Mission Impossible 2. Hey, I enjoyed that movie. I know people don't like that one. That's again another whole nother movie, a whole nother podcast. Sorry, folks. You can also find us recording every Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. on the YouTube channels of the Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. And that's youtube.com/the Kliq Nation if you're not sure. But yeah, that's it, folks. We're out of here. And I don't know. We don't really have anything else. Miss Marvel's over with. We don't really have. We're free and clear for the next month-ish.
Yeah, for a little while. So we're gonna take some time to enjoy the books and not have to crowd our show with TV reviews. We'll see how that goes.
Indeed.
But next week's probably going to be busy because of San Diego stuff, and even busier the next week with the fallout of all the San Diego stuff.
Definitely week after that. Yeah, we're going into San Diego, so we'll get some stuff. But yeah, the weeks after are going to be pilfered. All right, folks. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
And knowing is half the battle.